I'm part of a Christian group that meets on my college campus every week. And one of the leaders kept using the word deconstruction. And he said it meant somebody who builds part of their faith but doesn't finish it. They can't finish it. They didn't count the cost, and they failed to live it out completely. But I don't get it. I've heard this buzzword before. Do you guys have an opinion on it? All right, so I don't know. Have deconstruction, you want to start off? Let's just look up a definition real quick on the phone real quick, a quick Google search.
And since we're dealing with the religious aspect of it, I'll try to get a definition that's used in the religious circles, okay? So deconstruction as a process is as varied as the people who experience it, but it is largely revolves around questioning tenets of faith.
Okay.
For some, it can mean leaving a particular church. For others, it is a process of understanding their faith in a different way or leaving religion altogether.
Okay. Where's this coming from? Who said this?
I got this. I just did like a Google search for
First thing to pop up?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Google that said that religiously? Like it gave that religious twist to it?
Yes.
Wow. I figured like if you Googled it, deconstruction, it would bring up like a construction type, like laying bricks and taking the house down.
Well, let me backtrack. I did specify in the religious sect what is deconstruction. Okay. So yeah.
Let's do a quick regular Google search.
Okay.
Just because I like to see how different people take that word and apply it to what they got going. Okay. Do some investigation real quick.
So if you just Google deconstruction, it is a method of critical analysis of philosophical and literary language, which emphasizes the internal workings.
There's no way.
Language. Yeah. So
who writes these definitions? Why would somebody do that?
That cannot be. I know. I'm thinking of the same thing you're talking about, like demolition. Deconstruction. I'm like you demolish.
I don't think I've ever used that word. I like that word too. That sounds good.
Okay. So
that's fine. I just kind of wanted to, and that makes sense. That definition makes sense to me. That the one you just, the literary and all those words.
Yeah.
I'm kind of following that. So can we help them? What do you think?
So for me, let me just clarify, because I have been going through a process and I didn't know there was a word that was being used to describe what I was going through. And it just happened to be the word deconstruction. I'm not remotely interested in jumping on some bandwagon, being a part of this or that. I was just trying to confront myself on what I believed. And it just started to really snowball. Like I realized that most of the stuff I believed I couldn't support, and it just started to fall apart. It didn't stand up anymore. And so again, my age, I have the benefit of looking backwards to some life experience. And so I have something to compare things to, and what I've believed previously, I just don't believe anymore. And so if that's called deconstruction, let it be.
Which that sounds a lot like the standard definition to me, does it not? Kind of what you saying is just like you said, you look back, so you have a set of thoughts and you act them out, you going through life with them, and you look back and it's like, oh, I gotta, how people say unlearn, or I've heard you say twist it, untwist. Are those kind of the same things to you, or is deconstruction a little bit different?
Definitely unlearn and untwist, and because sometimes I feel like everything is just tangled up. I feel like my brain is just a box of wires, just all mangled together, and that I've got to go and just figure out where they really plug into.
Yeah.
So,
and I was just kind of thinking about the definition that they didn't say who this was, but their pastor had a certain definition that said it was someone who isn't committed to the faith. And
Right.
I'm just kind of wondering, like, why
Right.
why is that how some churches or pastors use that word?
Yeah, I could see
It didn't even make sense.
that, in deconstruction, I can see why a lot of people don't come forward with their questions or feel like it's safe to say, I really don't believe what you're talking about anymore. So
You sound phony.
I, you
I would go to that church. If there was a crowd who I knew was just like, hey, that just called a pastor out. I like that. Like, bro, shut up. You as a pastor, watch somebody else, another pastor, and you regurgitating. I need this to be a real experience. I need to know what you think, not the YouTube pastor, not Facebook. Anyway,
yeah. Yeah. So it to me is I'm confronting myself. I'm not confronting the pastor, the church. I'm like, why do you believe what you believe?
And that's okay. Got
So I had to go back to like the deepest part of me that I could remember and say, okay, this is where it started. This is where this seed started to grow. And once I did that,
Well, let me. Do you remember that point, that seed? How far does it go back? Because
I'm 2 or 3 years old.
okay,
Where, because that's when I first started to go to organized religion, which is called church, where
Okay.
you go somewhere on a regular basis to hear a particular sermon, topic, or whatever. And most of them in those days were fear-based. They would teach you. You really weren't there to learn.
yeah,
You were told what to believe and believe it this way. And if you don't believe it this way, then there's something wrong with you. And we'll keep talking about it until you get it. But you don't get to believe the way.
I kind of get what you're
own.
saying. It's more of I kind of get the difference. It's more of where you have somebody, like you said, telling you what to believe, kind of, you use the word indoctrinating, versus when you saying deconstruction, it's more of a self reflection. This is just me on my own. I'm about to take notes on what I think, and I'm about to reformulate based on my life. Got you.
Yeah.
And for me, I've never really used the word deconstruction, so I don't really have a. If I was to ever use deconstruction, it would be the same way you use it. I'm just kind of unlearning. That's kind of the word I got, and I guess because I see that on the internet and stuff. But that's kind of the same thing.
I'm really trying something new. I'm trying to think for myself. And it's not that I'm not using tools that's available, such as the Bible or
anything, podcast.
Anything.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think for myself and come to answers myself. We hear all the time how people say, oh, it's a personal relationship. It's a personal relationship. But let me tell you how to do it. How is that personal? If I'm not working this relationship with God one-on-one, but I've got to have a mediator. You're going to tell me how to do this? I don't think so.
That's a good point. So I would say, for the person listening right now, I think that was, I know that wasn't advice, but I think that's a way better way to look at deconstruction.
Yeah.
So
you're not doing anything that is wrong. What you are doing is you are waking up and you are going, I want to know for myself why I believe what I believe. And, go to the library, check out some old books, look at what some of the earlier believers believed, see when things started to change and what was introduced into the church, why they started to do this and why they stopped doing that. That would be a good place to start. And what you'll find out is depending on what the culture was wanting and what people were doing, that's what churches started to do.
Okay, we should end it there. That was good.
Okay.
Again, you guys can send in your questions. There's an email in the description. If you ever have questions, or you just wanna talk to us, send a question.
Yes, please send your questions, because it causes me to think outside the box. And I'm in the process of deconstruction.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to learn, and your questions definitely help me learn. So I don't have all the answers. I'm just trying to get to them just like you.
All right. We'll see you on the next one.